Well, Chapter 8 today for Driver's Ed, and it's titled Managing Distractions. There's only 3 sections today. So on page 150, the first one is titled Driver Inattention and Distraction. So driver inattention is a major factor in most crashes and near crashes. When a driver's awareness and focus shift or drift to anything other than the driving task, it is called driver inattention. When an event, person, activity, or object draws a driver's attention away from the driving task, it is an example of distracted driving. Over on the other side, distraction classification. So we have cognitive distractions, when your mind is lost in thought or in a daydream. Visual distraction, anything that causes you to take your eyes off the road ahead, as shown in figure 2. So you see a billboard that you're reading, or there's a crash on the other side of the road, that would definitely be a visual distraction. Auditory, any distraction caused by sounds are auditory distractions. Fire siren, a loud bang, somebody's music playing very loudly. And then a biomechanical is any mechanical act not specifically related to driving that is performed by a driver is a biomechanical distraction. So if you're, still have CDs, you're changing a CD, or you're finding your playlist on your phone, okay, that would be a biomechanical. If you are fatigued, stop and stretch or switch drivers. So again, not too long, just read through that one. Number 2, distractions that are inside the vehicle. 1 out of every 4 motor vehicle crashes is driver distractions or inattentive driving. Then, let's see, drivers who are distracted or inattentive are a factor in 1.5 million collisions each year and more than 4,300 crashes each day in the United States. Okay, cell phones, once considered a luxury item, are now used by a substantial majority of Americans. I'm sure most of you have a cell phone, and that's fine. They're great things. Obviously, you can share photos, send and receive messages, act as a navigation system, access the internet, and even more today that you can do on those. But for you guys, so it's called, it used to be the law was you couldn't text and drive. So then people would be texting and then they get pulled over and you're going to get ticketed for texting and driving, and they would say, well, I was dialing the phone, I was calling somebody, and at that time that was legal. Well, now, so they've changed the wording. It's called manipulating an electronic device. So if you are picking up your phone to dial, you can't do that. If you're texting, you can't do that. If you're finding a playlist, you can't do that. So manipulating an electronic device. So for you guys, you can't touch your phone at all while you're driving. So down at the bottom, 152, driver cell phone use are as observed from the roadside. So if somebody's watching people go by on their phone, as I'm home in the summer, if I'm out mowing my lawn, I may watch somebody go by, and you can tell it looks like this. So the other hand is probably holding the phone, and sometimes I've seen them with it up, visible too. Okay, so they are definitely can be hazards. A lot of people think hands-free is okay, and they've proven that even that can be a distraction. Okay, vehicle equipment or controls. Advancements in technology have resulted in many different systems and components for vehicle safety, comfort, information, control, and entertainment. Video entertainment systems. Some states have laws prohibiting any visible video displays within the view of the driver. So obviously you don't want to have a movie playing up front so that the driver could see it. That wouldn't be good. I know for me it wouldn't be, because I'd get distracted and start watching. Elaborate vehicle sound systems have volume capabilities that can hinder a driver's ability to hear other vehicles. Again, I just have no idea how somebody can drive with music so loud that everything in the car is vibrating, including your eardrums, which eventually will cause you not to have good hearing. I love music, but I never really listened to it so loud that, you know, when you're done, your ears are ringing. And some communities, local ordinances prohibit very loud music levels. Okay, some other distractions, animals or insects. If you have an animal in the car and they're not in a little container, or they're somehow, you know, fastened to the seat, they could be moving around in the car. If you have a window open, say a bee flies in, some other insect like that, that could be a major distraction, especially if you're a person who's allergic to a sting or a bite. Food and drink, okay? We have cup holders, and it's, you know, we take a drink as we drive, not alcohol, of course, but, you know, you got a soda pop and you're having a drink there. Sometimes we eat on the run, and just try not to do both, and try to be very careful if you are doing that. Other passengers in your car can be a distraction for you. They may talk very loudly or move around, or might even try to, you know, draw your attention. Hey, look at that over there. Or maybe they get in such a discussion with you that it can be a distraction. And then loose objects. So if you have something loose in the car, if the car happened to roll, obviously that would be a problem. But even as you're driving, if the window's down and something light could cause it to fly around in the car. Those are the types of things that it would be talking about on that one. Also, I guess they're including anything hanging from the mirror. Could be a distraction, okay? So our last one today, these are distractions outside the vehicle. So animals outside, the picture at the bottom, 156, I hope we don't see any of those in our area. But we certainly would see deer and cows and, you know, a rabbit or a cat or a dog, and those types of things might be something we would have to contend with as we drive our cars. Different objects outside the vehicle. Somebody's lost something off a truck, a bale of hay or a bag of garbage, something like that. Different scenes and events, so a crash and a fire scene. So they use the word gawking. Okay, if you're driving down the road and you're like, wow, look at that, that's a bad accident, okay? And then, so gawking, which is when a person stares. Then there's rubbernecking, which is when a person continually looks, okay? So if you're gawking, you're like, wow, that's a bad accident, look at that over there, okay? You just stare at it. But then rubbernecking is, you know, you're trying to drive, but look at the problem. Wow, look at that, you know, that's really bad over there. Okay, you just keep going back and forth. Their gawking is often what causes the traffic backlog, not the actual crash. Gawking that causes a traffic backlog is often a major cause of a rear-end collision. So there's a funny little video, and it's called a traffic snake. And I'm going to include that in the Canvas. It'll be right after this video. You can watch that. It's pretty interesting. So just a couple of things from it. And I've often wondered this. So I'm sitting at a green light, I'm the 5th car back, and the light turns green. How come I don't immediately go? I mean, if everybody's paying attention, should be able to take your foot off the brake and on the gas and everybody move at the same time, but it doesn't work that way. You've got the first person is looking over at his, the car next to him, the person's in there dancing, or the one behind them is on their phone texting and they're not looking at the light. Or the next one's having a conversation with somebody. So anyway, take a look at that. It's pretty interesting. Different public events as you drive along. You know, there might be some event going on off to the side of the road. And just to finish, a quick little story. So a couple of years ago, my old 72 pickup, my son was driving up north, and the engine went out, so I had to find a new motor, and I went and picked it up. And The day I went up to get it, it was snowing pretty bad. It was at up to Provo, and so on my way back, there were probably 4 or 5 places where there were cars off the road. One instance, most of it was up around Nephi. One instance, a semi-truck was actually completely turned around, headed facing the wrong direction. There were a couple of other places. Somebody had some snowmobiles, and they were on the road. The last one was a very long line of cars, and then what I thought was interesting is at the end of that, there was a wrecker picking up a car. I'm like, well, the wreck is up here. Why is there all these cars and then another wreck? Well, what happened, somebody wasn't paying attention, and they weren't observing that people were slowing down or stopping, and they ran into the back of somebody. And so they had to then be assisted. So always be paying attention. As you drive, there's always distractions, and don't let them be a distraction for you. Thank you.